former President Trump endorsing a primary rival for Republican Congressman Tom Rice. You may know the name because Tom Rice was one of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump over the deadly insurrection. Just hours after Trump's team announced his political organizations currently have a war chest of $122 million. This is how they're going to spend it. Righting the wrongs they see. A Trump spokesman saying in part, quote, "There's no question that the Make America Great Again MAGA wave is set to crash across the midterms and carry forward all the way through 2024. Up front now, Dan Eberhart, a major Republican donor who also recently met with top Republicans in Trump's circle at Mar-a-Lago. So, Dan, you haven't been afraid to call out Donald Trump on this show. This is an unprecedented war chest for a former president, though, and obviously you still are able to speak to people in that inner circle. What do you think this money means, and how significant is it of a haul?
Well, first, let me set the stage here. So the RNC plus the DNC combined have a cash on hand number of 121 million, and Trump has cash on hand number of 122 million. So that just shows you how formidable he's been at raising money from his supporters with an average contribution of $31. I think it's a formidable war chest, but as a Republican, it has me worried that we're going to get caught in this kind of crossfire or friendly fire, and that could be disastrous for us in the midterms.
Well, I mean, he's using some of this money to take out a lot of the people that people like you want to represent the Republican Party. So there's that, specific issue to it too. And that, you heard me mention the spokesperson who says, oh, this is going to go all the way to 2024. You recently said DeSantis would be a formidable candidate in the Trump lane should Trump not run. You said he was Trump, but smarter and more disciplined.
Absolutely.
Now, DeSantis has sounded an awful lot like Trump, all the way along, but lately in very specific ways. Here's a few examples.
We will ban critical race theory in our classrooms.
We're going after critical race theory.
With the Republicans, there'll be no defunding of the police, I can tell you that.
Florida is a law and order state. We will not allow law enforcement to be defunded.
There's a word echo. There's people like you who I know would vastly prefer DeSantis to be the Republican nominee. But do you think he has any chance of beating Trump, especially when you look at an average donation of $31 a person and Trump alone raising more money than the Republican Party and the Democratic Party combined?
I think anyone has a chance, but I think that if we're being honest, Trump's, numbers are formidable. His fundraising ability is formidable, and he lost the election, but he got more votes than any Republican presidential nominee ever has, 74 million. So he's a formidable voice, but he definitely still lost. I think somebody like DeSantis, DeSantis has 60 million cash on hand. I think he's got a formidable name and a formidable record to run on. And there's a lane for somebody like DeSantis or even a Tom Cotton or Nikki Haley to get in the race. I also think Trump is a melting ice cube and will be less formidable the closer we get to 2024.
Okay, so you call him a melting ice cube, and you've been very clear about this. And yet, you come on the show and say this, but top Republican senators, many of them will not. They won't rule out supporting Trump if he's the Republican nominee. Senator Cornyn, I will support the nominee of my political party. When he was directly asked by Manu Raju, will you support Trump? John Thune, Manu asked him, could you support him? Well, I've said I'll support our nominee. That's not what you're saying. They doesn't seem to be melting with them.
Well, I'm not elected. I don't have a party base to pander to. And the fact of the matter is, this is like the fable you hear when you're a kid. The emperor has no clothes, and everyone's afraid to tell him he has no clothes. This is exactly what's going on. Trump is absolutely formidable, has absolutely raised a ton of money, and no doubt would be the odds-on favorite to win a primary. But is there a lane for somebody like Nikki Haley or Governor DeSantis or Senator Tom Cotton to take him down? Absolutely. And remember, when we were talking about this in 2015, none of the talking heads or the kind of people that would be on your show took Trump seriously at all back then. And he confounded everybody and came away with the prize, right? So I think there's a lot of tape left to play, and we could all be surprised once again.
So, Dan, a Republican state Senate candidate in Michigan, I don't know if you heard about this, but is, told people to bring guns to polling places and to do so in order to protect Republican election observers. Let me just play part of what he said.
If we can't change the tide, which I believe we can, we need to be prepared for lock and load. So you ask, what can we do? Show a mark.
I mean, Dan, what do you make of this? You're a top Republican donor, longtime Republican. Could you I mean, can you believe that you're hearing this sort of thing?
I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous and completely not necessary. Look, that's the kind of thing that would happen in a banana republic that shouldn't happen in George Washington's republic. And we all need to condemn that kind of commentary, and we need to do a rethink on this. That there's no place in our society, in my opinion.
All right. Well, Dan, I appreciate your time. I always am glad to talk to you.
Thank you
Thanks
for
so
having
much.
me.
Okay.
Thank you.